You're listening to Healing Wisdom. I'm host Pandora Peoples, and today we're speaking with Lisa Guyon, Executive Director of We Can, a nonprofit which is now celebrating 25 years of helping women on Cape Cod to thrive. We Can offers workshops, legal advice, and helps women connect with a myriad of resources. And they have a number of workshops coming up this summer, in addition to some wonderful events. So welcome, Lisa. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Pandora. It's such a pleasure to be here.
First off, just tell us a little bit about your background and some of the work that you have done with We Can.
Great. Well, thank you. I'm actually born and raised on Cape Cod, so I'm a native Cape Codder, and I've grew up in Harwich, graduated from Harwich High School, so I'm a local kid, and went off to Wheaton College, not far away, over the bridges, and then to Boston. And my work led me to working in the nonprofit sector, which felt like, home for me. It just, working on a mission-oriented organization that was, helping people just always felt like a right place to land for me. So I've had the pleasure of working in organizations that were addressing issues of housing instability, healthcare, civic engagement and volunteerism. And then Weekend is sort of like the perfect combination of a lot of different things that I've done and the kind of work I love to do alongside volunteers and in the community where I grew up and where I live. And I volunteered a little bit at Weekend. I knew about Weekend. I was in a position where I was providing some grants to different community organizations. So I got to see Weekend's work as a funder, like through that lens and how impactful it was. And then I just got to know some of the people that were involved, and I was just hooked as an organization. It's a great organization, really generous, open-hearted people who are really just show up for others. And that, I mean, what's better than that? You can't really find a better organization to be part of. So the opportunity presented itself to join the team back in 2019, right about a year before COVID. And been on board ever since. It's been a wonderful experience. And I feel like we provide a lot of services under one roof that help women navigate transitions on their lives when something kind of, is destabilizing, whether it's divorce or loss of a spouse or job issues or finance issues or you name it. Or even if they have a real big dream or opportunity they want to take advantage of, whether it's buying a house or starting a business or just getting their like financial, future in order, that we have a lot of different services that can help women navigate that.
Wonderful. And it also includes like helping women who are facing like a cancer diagnosis and they need some financial advice and support and resources. So it's very multifaceted.
It is. Yeah. I mean, that we say the word transition a lot. That can look different for every person, right? For some people, it's a health situation they're navigating for themselves or a loved one or a parent. They're caregiving or they're receiving the care. And for others, it can be, just something that, a relationship that goes awry or a business that's having challenges. Transition can look like a lot of things for a lot of different things. So we certainly do what we can to assist, and we welcome, people to walk through the doors of We Can. And when I say that, I mean by phone, literally come through the doors of either of our locations, reach out to us by Facebook, whatever it takes. We have such wonderful, very empathetic staff and well-trained volunteers who really meet women when they first arrive at We Can and really kind of think about, hearing, first hear from the person, what is this thing that's happening in your life, and how do you feel you could be, you could use support, and then where do what strengths are there for all of us to work off of in this situation, and then wrap what we can around people, but also reach out to this wonderful community of nonprofits here on the Cape other organizations who provide wonderful services like Cape Wellness or Helping Our Women, who provide various services for women who are undergoing medical treatment, for instance, using your example. So it's like, what can we do here at We Can? And just like you found a really safe, supportive environment here, what can we do to help you? And then how do we connect you to the other resources that are out there?
That's wonderful. And because women are, on the whole, I think are such nurturers, it's really important to nurture the nurturers and to give them emotional support. And people need to navigate those financial challenges and these transitions, is like having that sort of community and like sisterhood and that nurturing base. And I think that, as friends, we can get really kind of busy and it's hard to be there for ourselves, let alone others. And so to have an organization like yours where the focus is that support is so important.
I totally agree with you. And, there's so much, the world is in a very precarious place right now where empathy and, kindness is hard to find sometimes. It's hard to hear, it's hard to see it. Just there's just so many things happening in our world. And so it's incredible like what how much how far a little kindness goes, and just telling people like you're going to be okay, reassuring people, you shouldn't feel ashamed because you're having a financial situation. This is a hard time to live. I don't know how, in any circumstances, everything's more expensive and housing is hard to find and keep it stable. And these are all things that they can often people can feel a lot of shame around stuff like that. And a little kindness and a little empathy goes a long way. And our model is all about empowering people to take those next steps themselves. We Can actually is an acronym for Women's Empowerment through Cape Area Networking. And an empowerment model is really like making people feel supported in the power that they already have and that they can take some next steps themselves. So I think that's the kind of world I want to live in, you know?
Absolutely. So can you talk about the workshops that you have coming up in your 20th annual Day of Words, Wit, and Wisdom?
Yeah. So every month we offer different workshops in the areas of legal issues, financial empowerment and education, um, job and employment, um, uh, resources, um, as well as workshops for businesses, and personal development. Things of like I want to, that you want to work on yourself around, whether it's healthy boundaries or relationships or really putting yourself at the center and kind of identifying your goals. All of our workshops you can find on our website. They're all offered and facilitated by volunteers. So these are people who are experts at what they do, whether they do it as a profession or some are retired, some are actively working. What a wonderful resource we have here on the Cape of just really brilliant, very experienced people who come here and come here to live or come here to retire, and then we get the great opportunity to have them interact with our participants. So we have a lot of great different workshops, no matter what you're kind of navigating. And we also offer all of those services one-on-one with volunteers. So even if you can't make a workshop, but you really need to speak to an attorney about an issue that's going on, whether it's housing or family law or elder law, you can call We Can and you can meet one-on-one with volunteers as well. So there's a lot of opportunity. A lot of that's on our website. And then our organization, we don't have any state or federal funding, so we're a privately funded organization. And one of the ways we raise funds for We Can is through events, fundraising events. And we have one that this will be the 20th anniversary. It's a very beloved event. It's called the Day of Words, Wit, and Wisdom. It's on June 4th at Witchmere Beach Club, where it's been since its inception practically. And we invite authors from across the country to come and join us. And it's basically a half day of storytelling. So we have 4 fabulous authors joining us this year, and Karen Joy Fowler, Jane Hamilton, Hank Philippi Ryan, and Stephen Oh, so sorry. Collie, excuse me. They'll be coming to the Cape. We already are practically sold out. We have an upstairs and a downstairs. One is a Samuel cast in the downstairs. We're already sold out upstairs. And then there's a few women, and we have a theme every year, and the theme this year is Imagine This. That's the name, that's the theme. And you have these incredible storytellers who write a story for our day of a day of words, wit, and wisdom. These are authors, published authors, and they use that theme. And it's just like, it's hard to describe the event. It's fun, it's emotional, you're laughing, you're crying. It's a big day of a lot of emotions. And then we have the great fortune of hearing some of the participants of weekends programs there's three women who will speak about their own experiences, and then usually we do a woman of the year, and it's somebody from off Cape that we honor, um, and last year it was Claudia Golden, who is she's a Harvard professor in economics, first woman to win a Nobel Prize solo in economics, and she was great and funny, and she came and she talked about her work looking at economics, world economics, through the lens of female participation in the economics and the labor force. And I just found out that she was the key person who helped the WPNBA, the Women's Players Union of the NBA, Women's NBA, negotiate a 400% increase in their wages because they were paid so low. So we had this really famous, amazing Nobel Prize winner here in Harwich at a weekend event last year who's gone on to do these really big, amazing things. So it's a day of all this really wonderfulness. We get to go out, we get to get out of the office. Everybody wears their like summery stuff. It's a little chic Kashmir, but it's great fun and very meaningful, heartfelt day of really words, wit, and wisdom.
That sounds delightful. And that's so fantastic. 400% increase for the women basketball players. That sounds like it's about time, huh?
Yes, indeed.
And I bet there's a lot more of those opportunities to
Yes.
set things right in the future. So wonderful. So September 6th is another really big event because it's your 25th anniversary. So September 6th, you have a big concert, Women Rock, at the Cotuit Center for the Arts. You're celebrating your 25th birthday, and they're celebrating their 30th birthday. It's produced by Michael Dunford and Sarah Sneed, and you have all kinds of wonderful musicians, including Natalie Bonfini and Trish LaRose and Lily Anderson. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. This is going to be a one-time special event concert. It really is a coming together of We Can and Cotuit Center for the Arts. We're actually having the concert at the Melody Tent. We wanted the biggest venue on Cape Cod, mostly so we have over 350 volunteers that we can, and we serve over 1,500 women a year. So we have a very big community of people who are involved with the organization. We knew we were going to need a really big venue. And then you bring Cotuit into it, and they have a huge community of supporters and art patrons. And so what we decided to do was to collaborate. Cotuit has had this production called Women Rock running for the last couple of years. It was sold out for 2 years in a row. 24 shows were sold out. It's awesome. Women literally rock the stage for 3 hours, and it's local women artists who cover other women artists. So you hear everything from Janis Joplin to Carole King to Lady Gaga to Taylor Swift. It's just it's hard to describe. It's such a great show. And so what we wanted to do was have this big celebration. It's on the 6th of September at the Melody Tent in Hyannis. We tried to keep the tickets as low as possible. The cost is low because we really want to invite the whole community in. And it also gave us the opportunity to have a bunch of tickets we could use to invite some of the women we serve to come to the show. So it's a great way to celebrate Labor Day weekend.
Very cool. Is there anything in particular that you would like to share?
It's funny, I was just having this conversation with someone the other day about how to talk about some of the things that seem to be the most meaningful about We Can in a way that doesn't sound like I'm, you know, like a out into the spiritual natural world, and to ground some of what's really very evident to me about our work, which is, I call it an alchemy. Like there's a real like chemistry, and I think a lot of nonprofits have this around their mission, where there's like a real people are drawn into this chemistry or this alchemy, like the right people at the right time for the right reason, showing up for other people in a way that's really meaningful for both parties. Like there is this kind of like, when you think about healing wisdom, this it's like what really matters. You strip everything else away, and it's such a it's such a blessing I feel so honored to be in the job that I'm in at this moment in time, doing this kind of work and seeing how people helping other people changes the helper's life as much as the person who's helped. And so there's a real alchemy and chemistry and something that, I think is an antidote for what's sort of happening on a bigger scale around us. So I guess I would just share that, because I think we have to, even in the nonprofit where, we have to shy away from being, I think we have to maybe lean in to talking about things that may just not be like total facts all the time. It's all facts, 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 and talk more about the feeling things. So,
Yes, I mean, the feeling part of it is so much a part of our experience. It's how we make meaning and from that, experience a sense of belonging and confidence.
hmm
And that confidence and that belief in self and optimism and feeling trusting, that sense of belonging and connectivity is really at the root of our personal and collective success. So
mm,
we, can't really compartmentalize and just operate on that material level, that there's so much at work when you're dealing with people on a psychological level, but also, we are spiritual beings, right?
yeah, no, that's so well put. I think that sense of belonging is like, that feeling of purposefulness, right? It's like I'm not going to be thinking about how much stuff I have at the end of my time here on Earth. I'm going to be thinking like, you know, did I make a difference, and did I make someone's life incrementally a little easier? Did people make, those are the things we will all remember and that have real purpose and meaning.
Absolutely, absolutely. Is there anything coming up that you're particularly excited about, or is there anything particularly that you've been reflecting on? Obviously, you had mentioned these times, and I feel like there's there's just so much conflict in the world, and because of social media and access to this information, people are inundated with news, and I feel like some people are more sensitive to it than others, particularly women, because I think we're kind of hardwired for that in terms of creating a community and sharing collective responsibility for child rearing. And then of course on the Cape there's so many people who are caretakers both of their own children and also their parents, or one or the other. So this is a time that I think women need to come together and support each other, maybe even more than in the past.
I agree. I think yes, I agree. I've been reading this book, and it's about leadership in times of chaos. And it's an old book. the author's name just has escaped me and I don't have it close by, but her theory basically is in times of chaos and distress, leaders, and that's a very widely defined term, does everybody's, in your own domain of whatever that looks like, whether it's your own household, your yoga class, your book club, your nonprofit organization, your Fortune 500 company, whatever the domain is in which you operate, that each of us can create what she calls islands of sanity during times of chaos. And basically, what that means is taking the opportunity to create safe environments where compassion rules and empathy is, the energy that you use in whether it is in your book club, that place where we can all escape some of the chaos and uncertainty and come back to a place where we feel like this is what community feels like, and this is what sanity feels like, and this is what like the kind of world I want to live feels like. So I keep reflecting back to that, like what you're saying, creating these places where people belong and that places feel like safe spaces essentially for people.
Thank you so much, Lisa Guyon, for being with us today, speaking with us about the work that you do as Executive Director of We Can and your fabulous offerings. Folks can go to your website, wecancenter.org. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Pandora. Appreciate you.
You've been listening to Healing Wisdom. All of our shows are podcast at healingwisdomradioshow.com, on Apple and Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts.